My name is Christie Taylor, and I am Vice President and Secretary of the Board of Trustees for Howard University. I've been here at the university for just a little over 1 year. In my most recent position before I got to Howard, I was at MIT. I was secretary of their governing board. They call it the corporation at MIT, so I was associate secretary of the corporation there. I did that for about 8 years, I believe, 8 or 9 years. This opportunity presented itself. I love where Howard is. I love Howard's mission. It seemed like a good opportunity to really come here and to make a positive impact. The role of secretary being one that was really incorporated with the very founding of the university. For me, it means that it's both an honor, an awesome responsibility, and I take that very seriously. I think what I bring to Howard University as a leader is the ability to look across the landscape of all of the enterprises that constitute the university, as well as knowing where the university is trying to go long term. In governance, we often talk about a fiduciary responsibility that our trustees have. And I would posit that everyone at the university should have a fiduciary responsibility. And what that means is that we are looking out for the best long-term interests of the university. Howard University is a great institution. It has great potential to become even larger and more impactful. And I think as a strategic leader, it's important to look both what's happening here and now and next week, but also 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 100 years down the road. So in terms of strategic leadership, that's really where I focus. I'd like to see us get to the point where women in leadership positions at universities is not an anomaly, that it is standard operating procedure. Right now, most professional administrative ranks at universities are predominantly female, and it really is about seeing them rise to the upper reaches of leadership roles at universities. I think that that's happening as the student bodies at universities become more and more female. I think it is inevitable and necessary that the leadership of institutions of higher education begin to reflect those changes. I think in our current culture, African American women often come in at the bottom of the hierarchy, often behind men in general and behind white women as well. I think it's a challenge. I think it's also an opportunity. I think that it is a challenge to do the work, get the recognition, but it's also an opportunity because so often we are underestimated. Our abilities are underestimated, and we rise to the occasion. I think that again, that determination, that fierceness that we bring so often to these roles will serve us well and will continue to serve us well. Leading by example seems to me to be really the only way to lead successfully. I have had leaders and managers who are perhaps a little bit more brutal, if you will, in terms of trying to lead, and that's never a successful path. I mean, I think that leading really particularly for the people who work with you and for you, is about recognizing their humanity. Human capital is key to being successful in this business. When you are not in the majority leadership position, it's important to have people who will mentor you, allies, people who will support you. I try to do that in my role. I've tried to do that all along. in my time in higher education. It's something that I have both uh, benefited from at certain points, and at other points that I've really craved and perhaps not gotten as much mentorship as I would have liked. So I'm very sensitive to that. I try to understand where my colleagues, where my staff are, what their aspirations are, what their goals are, and to help to put them on a path to achieve that. Whether that means, ultimately that they outstrip their particular position and go on to better things. I see that as a real feather in my cap rather than just a loss. I'm here to help people grow in their professions. Perseverance is key. It's important to stick to the position, to stick to the work, to do a good job, to make sure that when you see an opportunity, that you take it. Very little is given in this business, as in most for women. You really have to take up opportunities where you see them and stick with it. It takes time. I would say in terms of lessons that I have learned in a leadership position, I would have to say it's really about how fallible and human I am and we all are. When I work with staff, I always say to them, we strive for perfection. You have to strive for perfection, but you also have to understand that you will never achieve perfection. If we don't strive for 100%, then we fall far short of our capacity, our abilities. I wish that when I was 20, going back in time, there's so many things I wish I knew when I was 20 that I know now. I would say in terms of leadership, particularly as a Black woman, it's important to understand that we are always visible. We are always seen, whether we want to be or not. We do not fly under the radar. Sometimes we are held to a higher standard because we are so visible, but no matter what, it is important to know that and to use that to our advantage, to take advantage of that visibility, to soar, to put it to good work, and to keep striving. As Secretary of the Board of Trustees, I hope my legacy is that when I leave the university, that the board is thriving, that it is in a better place than when I arrived. The Board of Trustees at Howard has a real obligation to make sure that Howard, succeeds, thrives, continues to exist well into the future, that it becomes all that it can be. And Howard is a great university now, and it has nothing but an extraordinarily bright future ahead. If I can contribute in any way to that, I would consider that to have been an honor. The Center for Women, Gender, and Global Leadership can really serve women by continuing to do what it is doing, which is really shining a light on all that women do, all that women can do, and all that women have the potential to do in the future. I think that it's such a wonderful service that the center is doing, not just for women at Howard, but for women across higher education. Continue the mission. I would say for anyone who wants to become involved in the important work of governance at Howard University, it's important to, first of all, to love and respect the university, understand what its mission is, and to to really give thought and consideration on a day-to-day basis on doing what is best for Howard.